All right, guys, here we go. Back to the build. Lots has been done while I've been off camera. In fact, one of those things is actually getting these spikes glued in. Now, first you have to drill the body. Once you drill the holes into the body, you actually get to take these spikes that have like a double hook on the bottom or an expanding tooth system where you can squeeze it together, pop it into the hole, and the teeth come out on the outside to help hold it in. But then I also went in and glued it with some shoe glue. So yes, this is one of the reasons I expect Axial actually discontinued this. Not being a pre-molded body, I'm sure those spikes are going to break off when it goes upside down. Now, they do give you lots of extras, which is a big bonus, and I really do like the tribute to Tom Mintz and Maximum Destruction because it was one of my all-time favorite monster trucks. Now, other things that I did, of course, really simple. Here is the back differential cover. This is, I believe, a hot racing one I got off of eBay. I got a pair front and back. I also ordered a brushed chrome one, but I kind of like the brushed brass look on here. Kind of pops out on that axle. Here they are, J Concepts Fling Kings. I did this in the last video if you missed it. These are not 2.2 size tires. In fact, they're slightly larger. I will put a link to an Amazon place. It is an affiliate link if you want to purchase them in the video description box, and you can find out all about them. I talked about them in the last episode. Here it is, the servo that I've decided to go with, a super high torque servo. This is an MKS branded servo. Out of Taiwan. The HBL 550 has a ton of torque to it. In fact, for a monster mud truck, I wanted monster torque. So this can take up to 8.2 volts, puts out a ton of torque for when my tires are in the mud and muck. I want to make sure that my servo is not, browning out my whole system. So I will be switching out the electronics, but that's not today. In fact, today what I want to do is beefing up the axles, not the actual axle housings themselves, but the C-hubs. Right? You want to see the front C-hubs here and the steering spindle itself. The reason why I want to do this is to get rid of the plastic so when I come down from a hard jump, I don't actually snap the outside. So that's exactly what this is going to be. And of course, I was an idiot. I did not order two of these. These are the back trailing arms for it. I like these. These are carbon fiber from the looks of it. And the look of that is exactly what I want for this truck. But I need to order another set. Again, another eBay purchase. The last thing I want to do today, this will all be in one fell swoop, is upgrade my radio. This is the Noble NB4 radio from FlySky. One of the most diverse radios I've seen yet, and actually has a really good weight to it. Has an internal battery that lasts for 4 hours, but it also has this external battery pack. This is the bottom base, is like a solid battery that you can use as a separate battery. Let's see if I can get this off. As a battery for your phone or your smartphone or whatever you want in your pocket. You can use it as a recharge pack or as an expansion pack to the battery here, which lasts up to 10 hours. I've never tested that, but that's what I read. So I'm going to do that. Here's the new receiver I'm using. I know you guys can't find this online yet at the time of this filming. It's kind of pre-release. The FGR 4S. Super small receiver. I hope these guys get them out to the public. Maybe it's already out and I don't even know it. That's happened to me many times. So let's go ahead and start the upgrade. So one of the things people have already asked me are, am I going to switch the axles to like a Vanquish brand or an alloy or aluminum or something like that? And the answer is no. The reason why I'm doing the aluminum on the outside, of course, is for strength, but I also want to keep this truck very light. Right now it only weighs maybe 2 pounds. It's not heavy at all. And I really want to keep that. Now there's no battery in here, but I want this truck to be nice and stable at the bottom and fly high, but without a ton of weight. Because when I get into the mud, I basically want this thing to float and rip through the mud with a nice powerful brushless system in there and not a lot of weight bogging the truck down. All right, let's cut into this here. just take off the hex adapter here. I'm going to keep using these stock ones here. The reason being is that the ones that come with these C-hubs are actually longer, and I already have a wheel extension on my actual hub for the tire. Using my cross wrench. A tool I've always said is one of the most important hobby tools to always have with you. It seems so benign, the cross wrench here, you know, or wheel wrench, a lot of people will call this, but you can use this on a variety of nuts on your vehicle. I find it always is helpful. I'm just going to remove this in stages so you can see. I've already done all 4 screws that hold this piece in. So I'm just taking the axle stub out. Going to push back on it to remove the bearing, as well as then I'm going to use the axle stub itself just to gently push on the race of the other bearing so I can remove it. Take that right out of the way. We're going to need to keep this. Then I'm going to remove the C-hub, like that, a little bit of force there. This is what we're going to be replacing as well. I'm going to take this opportunity to grease the axle. Just going to pop this bearing out. So here's the C-hub I'm actually going to be sliding on. You can see it is clockable, which means you can turn how your steering actually functions on the axle itself. And also I really like the angled cuts that they have on this aluminum. It looks really, really good. So I'm going to be installing this like right through, like manually focusing just for learning purposes. I'm going to put it back just a little bit like this. That is in its farthest back clocking position. Looks kind of funny just because of the optical illusion you guys are getting right now. Putting on the old rubber glove to get out the lube. Might as well add a little bit of lube to the inside collar where I'm going to be seating that bearing. And the reason why I'm doing that, and I'm using Cow RC Udder Butter for anyone that needs to know, this is just a marine or waterproof grease, as you can see. It's really good for repelling and keeping any water and rust away from your bearings. You know, it's always going to have an impact in the long run, but if you can actually mitigate some of that in the beginning with a little bit of grease, why not? And a little Loctite goes a long way. So I'm using a blue thread locker right now, not red, because red you'll have to use heat, and if I have heat I'm going to end up melting that plastic sheath in there, right, that helps the pin turn back and forth. So once I tighten it up, I'm checking to see if I can rotate it. That's not too bad. I'm going to back it off just a little bit, and still I just have to work in those plastic bushings. So here are the suspension arms, the upper right here on the bottom and the lower on the top. That's confusing for you. Some people are going to tell me that are familiar with this product or have used this particular product. I'm about to install it backwards. But the reason why is that Hot Racing seems to stick their logo on all of their parts, and I don't need a bunch of HRs all over my truck. I don't really like the look of it, and I actually like the carbon fiber on the outside. So HR can have theirs on the upper suspension link, but I want to have this bottom one all carbon fiber and nice and shiny. So really simple. I've already undone the bottom link and taking out my dual shocks. We installed this second shock right here in the last video, and it really acts as a great dampener to this outside sprung shock. The coil shocks that Max D are known so famously for, those outside coil shocks. In that same fell swoop, while I'm installing the lower, all I have to do is undo 2 screws, front and back, and slide out the upper. That's a piece of cake. Okay, so now the lower links are done, well, upper and lower, and for those keeners that were watching and noticing while I was filming, I had actually already done the other side in between takes before I did the tutorial, just to make sure I knew that the heck I was doing. So now that that is done, there's only one really last thing I want to do, and that's flip over to this FlySky Noble NB4 radio and this super small 4-channel receiver. Some people will be asking why I'm actually switching over the radio. Is the Tactic radio that comes with it not good enough for a mud truck? And I absolutely think it is. But if I get into any kind of racing at all, I'm going to want to have different servo response rates. I also want to have adjustability. And on the NB4, I actually have all of that stuff on a touchscreen that's pretty good. And this is a radio that's under 200 bucks. And so everything is mappable, everything is very easy to use. I'm just going to go through to my RX setup. Right there, all I have to do is bind. But first I need to access the old receiver. Plug in the battery. It's immediately in bind mode, I can tell that. Here, look on the back of the receiver, it's flashing. So all I have to do is go to my radio, bind with receiver, and it is now done. Back it up. So let me know your opinion. Do you like it with the body off, or do you actually really like the MaxD bod that goes with it? Should I swap it out? Let me know. You guys are always helping me create this show. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in today. Hopefully it was some cool upgrades, some ideas for you on building your monster mud truck, and we'll see you in the next episode of RC Adventures. Now get outside and have fun with RC. You know I always do.